Hello, this is a highlight cut down of a stream I did. If you want to see all of it, including all of the tangents I went on, you should go check my live tab and you can watch the whole thing. It's basically like an hour shorter of stuff I actually cut, so give that a watch if you want to. So, I can't do presentation mode because whoever made this, part of me thinks it might be the official White Wolf, or Paradox, whatever, for V5. It's got this is the best one I could find because everything else was like, hey, let's talk about clans, and it was just all a bunch of different bloodlines, which wouldn't be helpful right now. So as this, with this tier list, all I'm talking about is the main clans, and this is the V5 stuff because it's just easier. So if I use V5 names, that's what it is. Not a clan don't care tier. Oh, let me move my thing slightly. Not a clan don't care, lol. Because I'm not going to be talking about Caitiff and Thin Bloods. It's not a clan, this is about clans. I have it in alphabetical as well. Calling someone a Tremere isn't as slur it should be. I love Tremere, and that is accurate. I believe that should be the case. I will say, it's hard to realize how neutral I am on clan ranking, aside from the clan that should obviously be at the bottom. Exactly, we all know, I hope. I will say this, because I think it's important to give an understanding for... There's just a weird case. This is on the back end for people who do tier list content. There are people who take tier list stuff very seriously. I'm a huge fan if, people are in-universe LARPing and making jokes about that. I think it's fun. What I don't fully think is good is people who are like, well, my opinion is objective, or, what? How dare you subjectively think something is subjective? So, my criteria for how a clan is ranking here, it is, how interesting do I find the lore? It is, how much would I want to play one? Do I have a key, thing that draws me into the clan to actually make a character and play it? And then lastly, vibes. Because some are just really cool on vibes and catch my interest more, and a lot more of them I kind of find, some are just boring, let's be honest. But, I mean, we can start at least. And again, I'm also going to be sourcing this from all over. These are just the V5 symbols, and I use the V5 names just for ease of understanding. But, I'm talking about the totality. I'm talking about, 20th edition as well. Which, by the way, I will be actually ordering these in, the order I think they are in, from 1 to 14. Because I actually can do that. It's something I've done before in my own head. So, imagine you guys will not be surprised if you're active viewers who've been in my community for a while, you might know some of these opinions already. But first and foremost, we have Banu Hakim, which I'm going to put in the GOAT tier. I love Banu Hakim. Absolute surface level information. I adore anything that is oh man, the Middle Eastern assassins? I wonder if Glueboy's going to like that, because I will. And I think that their actual history is really sick. I think that, Hakim is such an interesting antediluvian, largely because I think you get one in the entire setting, a one vampire who is very rightly I don't care about most of this shit. I think the idea of them being the judges is really neat. And I think that, overall, the idea of vampire assassins is such a fun thing. Their powers are cool. I do love Quietus. I think there's some really sick powers that they get access to. Their discipline combos are fun. And the only negative I can really put for Banu Hakim is that I don't like how... I think some people have corrected me fair enough in my Bloodlines 2 review video, but I do not really like how Banu Hakim was made in that game. Because in Bloodlines 2, I felt La Sombra was actually a better stealth clan than the stealth clan. I do think the schism that's introduced in V5, because I'll also bring up when it's apparent the V5 lore changes. I don't have an issue with a lot of the V5 lore changes, because I think a chunk of them are done pretty well. But I think Banu Hakim is just such an actually good one.
It's impressive how Toreadors manage to smell more like piss than we who live in the sewer.
True, actually. Absolute truth nuke. turning down the music slightly so I can hear your super chats better. Thank you so much, Coolin. Vampire Assassins as a concept is just too sick. We'll get to that take with La Sombra down the line, because I'll say that's partially why I like them so much. But yeah, I think Banu Hakim is just like, it hits a theme, it hits a vibe. It's really straightforward type of vibe. Vampire Assassins. And then it legitimizes it a lot and develops a really interesting history. I also think that the push and pull with like the Tremere is really fun. I think that like their history with the Bali is really fun. Banu Hakim is up there for like my favorite clan history lore, because I think it's detailed well enough without being like annoyingly dense, annoyingly vague, and like kind of like what the fuck are you doing, because it's jumping around all weird. I'm also not familiar with Fate in the Hassans there. If it's the only two Fates I know, and people say Fate, is Fate Stay Night, because it's I just think they have a fighting game, that's how I know it. And then there's Fate, the Diablo clone for kids, if anyone has played that. I played that a bunch when I was like 7. That is at least Banu Hakim. I firmly believe they are an S tier clan. The GOAT, by the way, is my top 5. Like, my top 5 will go in there, and I'll also say, like, if a clan I end up in, like, D or C tier, it's not hate. I don't hate any of the clans in the game. I don't think there is a bad one. It's more like, these are the ones I'm least likely to do anything with, because I don't find the concept as engaging. But alright. Next, we got, we're going to be talking about Bruja. And I believe Bruja are C tier. I think the Bruja have some fun things they are working with. One element of Bruja lore that I think gets me, because it's, you know, the one that's actually detailed, is I think Carthage is a really interesting lore point. Especially because I like that vibe that they, oh my god, they tried. They're the idea of you have a bunch of like activist types who just want change and hate status quo and rebel. The obvious thing is, well, are you going to do anything? Or are you just going to complain all day? Then they tried, and Carthage fell bad. Slander my Blorbozo cancel you on Twitter. Please do. That sounds hilarious. But like, I think Bruja are solid, but it's the kind of thing, when I look at Bruja, I look at the character concept, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. If you want to play like the physical, angry type. And Bruja is punished, basically, because I don't have any strong character concepts when it comes to Bruja, and I don't think the clan lends itself super well into creating a lot of strong types. It's not to say it's badly designed game-wise or whatever, but there is an element, I've talked to with my friend of mine every Thursday, by the way, on his channel, Bad Luck Gamer, we go live and talk about tabletop games. There's an element we've talked about a lot where when you're playing a game, the thing you want for a tabletop game is to open it and immediately be hit with inspiration on how to make a character. And some classes and like archetypes and shit in tabletop games are better at it. Some will jump out and like give you something, or the character you're starting out with will naturally be interesting because it's an interesting class. But then you have like the fighter. The fighter is a class you need to work to make cool. And I love fighter in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I think fighter's super fun because I'll put in that lifting work. I'll actually work and make an interesting character with it. But like Bruja and fighter don't give you a lot other than they're very good up close and like physical. They're very tanky. I think they do have a really fun power combo with their disciplines. But like, I'm not super drawn in by their Antediluvian. I'm not super drawn in. I think the most interesting part of Bruja I've found is the true Bruja. And I also find this incredibly funny, because I don't know, if I have extra time at the end of stream, maybe I'll live take the VtM quiz, the official one. But I land in Bruja. Like, that is the one I've been assigned multiple times. So it's me rebelling against the position I'm put in by the upper class, I guess. Let's see. I like Bruja PCs, but I feel like PCs, they're kind of bland. It's just, it takes more work, and that's not a bad thing. It's just, it takes work if the player is willing to do that. I was going to disagree with that ranking, but the argument is compelling. I'm glad to hear. But also, everyone, feel free to disagree with me. Like, personally, it's the methodology and the philosophy I have for this channel. everyone is allowed to disagree with me. I don't care if you like fully subscribe to my opinions. The only thing I will be in any way annoying about is if we're able to talk about it like adults, because that's what's important. I think disagreeing is more interesting than blind agreeing, and I like the discussions I have on the channel, as long as you're able to discuss it without, like, I don't know, tying your emotions and your self-worth into I like this fictional thing, because I don't think you should do that. Bruja being very tanky is fitting. Yeah, actually. I'd also add that's perhaps odd that the concept of Bruja seems fitting in the current times we live in and the concept of resistance, but the clan itself wasn't adjusted to fit that. I think that's also fair. It makes me curious. I think it's a good point. Makes me curious with there's talks coming up with Gen Con that we're going to see maybe 6th edition Vampire. And so I'm really curious how it's going to progress. Because I think we're in a time where there's just a lot of active push and resistance to things. And I think that that's going to be an interesting element, and with White Wolf now in of themselves, instead of just tied up with paradoxes deeply, I kind of hope they get back to, even if it's edgy and sometimes like not performed as well, I do like Vampire and like World of Darkness trying to mirror our world a lot, because I genuinely do want to know what is the technocracy's view of cryptocurrency. Like, I'm curious about that. Open to talk about flat Earth? I'll talk about it. I think because I think the theory is very funny. Like, but if people can discuss it like adults, I don't care. As long as things don't harm people, that's usually where I draw my line with shit, is if it's causing actual harm. Let's see. Yeah, like, we've seen the idea of resistance or rebellion is expanded, but Bruja feels stuck in time, which I think is also a fun route you could take the Bruja, to be honest, because, like, that is just very vampire, is the idea of just, these are very stagnant beings. They can have, like, character arcs and change and all that, but, like, they are stagnant, so I think that's an avenue it could take, and I hope it's done well. I want to see what, like, the modern Bruja perspective for things is. Let's see. What clan would most likely be a flat earther? Probably the Bruja. Like, unironically. Maybe Malkavian too, just to throw in a little shade there. But I think the Bruja, because it's rebelling against the status quo. Yeah, like, I really struggle thinking of interesting, in-depth Bruja concepts, but I'd love to have more of them in my chronicle, and I think if I put in the extra effort, it'll be super worth it. I agree with that. I think that is, like, very true. And that is just the case with a thing like this. You need to have the very broad strokes, this is a thing that exists in our game, just as, like, a large catch-all, so then you can have the very specific vibes. And when it's a catch-all, then it just requires some, like, heavier lifting. And that's totally fine. But yeah, we'll move on from Bruja. I'm gonna put the Gangrel in a B tier, because I think overall, the Gangrel are interesting. And also, I have to give kudos to the Gangrel, because I think that a lot of, like, the subgroups in the clans that are in, like, the bloodlines are interesting. I will constantly gush about the idea of the Mariner Gangrel, because I think it is so smart. I think it is a really smart move for vampires to all be like, well, we don't need to breathe. Pressure doesn't really mean a lot to us. What if we just lived underwater? That's so smart. Listen, it is not a hate for Gangrel. It is, I think the Gangrel are very neat and very cool, and important to understand for Gangrel is that the vibe that you get with them, the vibe of the very animalistic, the very, angry, the very, like, we live in rural areas, isn't exactly what the Gangrel are. They're, like, way more complicated. And the Gangrel have the single best character in Vampire, that being Cuthbert Beckett, my boy. I love him. He wrote a bunch of the lore books, like, he's a central character for a reason. He's just cool. And it's very sick that Gangrel has what I can really describe as Vampire Indiana Jones. Like, he's sick as hell. And I think the Gangrel are cool with that. I think their history is interesting, but it's the kind of interesting that is, there's like 3 or 4 different retellings of it, largely because the Gangrel are like, we don't write our shit down, so who cares? We don't care about our history, why would you? Mariner Gangrel, I would put an A tier. And the only reason I wouldn't put them in S tier, like the GOAT tier, is that Mariner Gangrels are sick. I just think that they struggle to fit into most Chronicles. They're just a really limited concept, and they're a lot better for like a group of NPCs that are in an area rather than like, hey, check it out, I'm playing a Mariner Gangrel. Where's our campaign set? What's up? We're in Kansas City, like Kansas City by night. Like, I don't know, it's that kind of shit. Me and this is so shocking my younger self. Gangrel have turned out really bland. Like, out of all of them, even the Bruja, they just didn't change in an interesting way through additions. I think that's super true. Gangrel is a clan. Like, I think with V5 it introduced some interesting changes, and there's some that I like kind of think are a little meh, but I don't hate a lot of them. Gangrel got nothing, because Gangrel vibe is purely, I want to play a vampire that can shapeshift. I want to play a vampire that can turn to a wolf. I want to turn into bats. I want to do all that. And that's what the Gangrel are. And the Gangrel are very like the vampire that lives in the deep woods and like kind of monstrous, which is a form of vampire I like a lot. But Gangrel, once you have their concept, you can spin it in cool ways. Like, I think Gangrel have cool bloodlines because of like the urban Gangrel, like the ones who live in the cities. I think that's a sick concept too. It's just the Gangrel isn't a concept that can accelerate really, because like once you get it, you see what you get, and all you can really have is cool characters for them. Great Lakes by Night would work for that. Like, yeah. Also, I think it's a fair point. Mendacious Cat. I think that they kind of are just similar to Bruja. In that way, it's just you have the two angry clans. The only thing is, I guess, the direction it goes in. One is just a lot more like I am a wild beast versus I am mad at the status quo. What do you think about the idea of a Mariner Zamiski? It sounds cool. It seems like a fit. I think that'd be sick as hell, actually. Like, I think that'd be a really sick enemy or like NPC. Because, I mean, yeah, why wouldn't they? The only difference is like flesh crafting versus I am actually changing my body to have animal parts. The one bit I will also give the Gangrel is I do think their like Compulsion and Bane is really interesting. I think I'm glad that their old Bane changed, which for those that don't know, way back in like early Vampire, like first edition basically, the Gangrel, if you ever frenzied and like failed your willpower checks, you would permanently have an animal feature, and that's permanent. And this could also be Masquerade breaching. So I don't like that, because I don't like the idea of a bad roll or like a couple bad rolls bricking your character. That I don't think it's good tabletop design. I've had people push back against that, and it's like, yeah, I imagine you might have a GM that ran it good, but I think it's a bad element of game design to do that in a tabletop game. Like, that is a little too harsh of a punishment. Having it last for an entire night, I think, is way more fitting, because then you can have a temporary punishment that's way more brutal. I think it's cooler. And yeah, Gangrel are just another clan that I think you have to be creative with it. And I like Gangrel. I think they're neat. In the way that I think they have enough that makes them more interesting in my head than Bruja. I'd be more willing to play a Gangrel. Which I'll also say Mendacious Cat, like, that is a, that's not even a Nosferatu Bane. Like, it's not even actually in the tabletop. That's only for Bloodlines 1. So, like, it is something I've seen with, like, people treating it as such. Like, not saying you are, obviously. But I've seen it talked about in actual, like, tabletop, and it's kept people from playing Nosferatu. Or, like, GMs are weirdly harsh to Nosferatu, even though it's not in the lore. And, like, even more, their real Bane, the Nosferatu Bane of, like, you have a permanent -2 appearance and, like, a charisma penalty is way more harsh. Which is also funny for me, as someone who hears a lot that V5 ruined things and, like, made things all nice and happy, where I look at the comparison in, the Nosferatu Bane in V5 is way meaner. Like, it is a worse penalty, like, because you get the negative appearance, and the wording of it takes away loopholes that the old game kind of left you, because you cannot get rid of the penalty through disguising yourself. And so it's harsher. It is a harsher thing in V5. It's not a Masquerade breach to be seen. Permanently having an animal feature would either be the worst downside or the best upside, depending on how much romantasy the player reads. I mean, the hope is that you get a cool animal, though, right? Like, the hope is for a gangrel that you're like, I'm becoming a werewolf vibe, versus like, oh no, I'm a brain immediately searching for what is a lame animal. Like, imagine, first one that came to my mind is like your gangrel frenzies and he grows like a fucking pig nose. It just got like, he starts like snorting a bit. Like, try intimidating somebody with that, I guess. But we can go off that. Wait, Gangrel, one fun character, Machete Dave. I love him from the name already. I've never heard of this guy, but I love him. Who lives under the New York Bridge, hunts down many camis, anarchists about he sees, and likely fights the squid monsters whose name I forgot. That's sick as hell. Also, actually, that's super true. That's the element of you can be creative as hell with the Gangrel, Baldemarian. You can just play Vampire Wolverine, and that's sick. Pigs are cool animals, but like I wouldn't be intimidated if a guy was raving in my face and he had a pig nose. I would be like, I'd be having trouble not staring at it. Like, maybe that's fucked up with me. All right, we'll move on from them because next up we have another B tier, because we're going to be talking about Hakata. And I'll say for Clan Hakata, I want to put above Gangrel. I'm going to put them in B tier. And I think Clan Hakata is very interesting and gets a little bit too much of a bad rep in V5. That is my hot take, and I will continue to preach this. Hakata as a clan in V5, I think is a interesting progression because you can really work with what it is. I think the only bit that holds me back from loving Hakata, and like same thing with loving Giovanni, is just like, it's not the immediate character I jump to play. It's not the character type I would really leap for. It's not something that actively is asking me to play it, which is the reason it's not an A tier. It's a me thing of why they're at B. But I think they're the top of B. Hakata sounds like the only clan where V5 streamlining actually worked. I would agree. And I also, the reason I'll say, because I understand if you hear the broad strokes of what the Hakata are in V5, I understand not liking it. The problem I have is the book that actually talks about Hakata, the Cult of the Blood, where they're really fleshed in and like really brought in. The Hakata is a lore change that is so manipulatable because it gives you so much that I think you could make the Hakata whatever you as a storyteller or player want. Because, like, for example, for Kulin, like, this is an opinion I think is totally fair. Hakata are the most boring clan I've ever seen. The Geos were cooler and the Cappadocians were cooler. The benefit, I think, for people who are sad specifically that Giovanni is not in the seat anymore in V5, there is explicitly said, when it comes to Hakata, that like 75% of the Hakata makeup is still Giovanni, and it still ran like Giovanni. The only change is that they added some new fellas in their group. Like, that is really it. So if you want to run the Hakata just the Giovanni under a new name, that's totally fine. Like, Hakata Ritual implies that you could merge all 13 clans into one mega clan of Cain. That'd be crazy. I think I'm curious how well it would work, only because like, the Hakata were in the nice part of, like, it wasn't Kane's curse that was fucking up any of their shit, so maybe that's easier to work with. Oh, super chat. Oh, subscribe. Thank you, Simona. But, that at least is the thing. I think Hakata as a clan it's fair to not like this change. I think people are too harsh on it. That's really my take. I think that the Hakata are so variable in how you want to run it. I think the element of like, well, the old Banes are gone. There are ways to reintroduce the old Bane, like pretty easily. Like the one I brought up in my Nagaraja video is that you can create a Nagaraja that's Hakata with actual benefits for saying you're playing a Nagaraja. You get like stat bumps and you actually get some new abilities. And I think it's totally fine. It gives you the disciplines for everything and states like the Bane is gone unless you don't want them to be. Yeah, like, and also it's just, I think there's a slippery slope of defending something that's bad because, like, As I've said a lot, like in my videos, I word it. There's nothing stopping you from just porting over the old shit. There's like, White Wolf isn't in the room with you with a gun pointed at your head. I don't think the solution to things should always be homebrew, but Hakata are just designed in such a way where you can make them exactly what you want them to be. And because of that, I cannot say that the V5 change is bad, because there is this really strong part of me that refuses to like say something is bad when the solution to avoid said bad thing is just so easy and you have like 20 different tools at your disposal. That is my only issue. I'm raising the dead over here. See, you can do that. You can. That's a fun round. Maybe I'd play that. Or I'd get really good at a Joe Pesci impression. Ooh, super chat.
I think Hecate works better as a faction than a bloodline.
I think that's a really fair point. I think that is a fair take. And I think that that is a change that if I rolled up to a table and saw that is how they were running Hakata, I wouldn't have an issue with it. The same way I also wouldn't have an issue if you ran it as like, it's still Clan Giovanni, but like now they have like a Nagaraja with them in a Samiti. And it's like, yeah, we got like two fellas over here that are different. I think that's also a route to take them. Like, I wish they were the Cappadocians even more than the Giovannis. That, I think, is, I mean, it's up to taste for that. I like the Cappadocians, but because I think their story is really tragic. It's just the kind of story that I think is stronger, the fact that they got wiped out. But I like their presence a lot in the Dark Ages. Honestly, if they wreck on the lore so the Hakata has always been a clan instead of having dozens of bloodlines, I wouldn't be mad. See, that's the thing I wouldn't be as into. Only because I think it is a cooler way of lore additions when the plot is progressing. And I like the way the plot progressed because it's a very understandable like take of the Giovannis have been working on like one central goal for so long, and then that goal got fucking blown up by the spirit nukes in 1999, and then the reaction is like, well, what the fuck what is this? What are we doing? I think that is a thing that is cool, and I think having your lore be additions instead of let's just go back and say like, oh, it was always like this, the Warhammer approach for stuff, I prefer to be additive. Next clan, this is an easy one. La Sombra, fucking S tier, top, the GOAT. I love La Sombra. I love them so much, and partially why I love La Sombra so much is because they're better. They're better Ventru. They're cooler. I think their powers are sick as hell. I love I mean, it's a Tenebration in a Tenebration, or I hope I'm not making shit up right there. But I mean, it's changed in V5 for Oblivion, which that is another thing I'm not a big fan of, only because I don't like Tenebration, good. I don't like the idea that the Hakata and the La Sombra can do the same shit. I'm not a fan of that. I think you gotta have a line of what makes your clan unique, and disciplines need to do it. Yeah, but they're honest venture. Like, when in reality, what they also are is they originally, like early on, it was treated very like, these are Sabbat, so this is the Sabbat Ventru. But like, because they're the Sabbat Ventru, they're really fun. Like, I love La Sombra because they're pieces of shit. They like, I had a fun idea that was I wanted to play a La Sombra like street gangster who got money through like he got blood through protection racket kind of shit. Because running a squad in V5 is also a thing you can do. It's pretty fun. But I love La Sombra. I love I almost wish I could disagree with the Venture comparison just out of principle, but I don't know what my argument would be. Like, yeah, no, that is the thing. La Sombra are just dope and managed to capture the creepy feeling of creepy, powerful vampires so well. A good La Sombra is threatening, is like this creature that has positioned itself as better than you. And like, because they're very open of they view people as lesser. And I think that how much of La Sombra is nature versus nurture? I would imagine it's probably similar to people, because like, they have their tendency of being like absolute tyrants, terrifying. But also the fact that they are probably picked that because you pick a rich asshole. And so you're not picking a guy because of his bank account. You're picking him because you think he rules good. And also, there's the part of Lasombra I think is really sick is like their actual history. I think like the Lasombra like clan history is really cool. I love their ties with like the Catholic Church as it progresses. Like the religious aspect for Lasombra is really cool, and I think the idea of really terrifying like vampires hiding themselves in religion is really like it's a cool path for someone in vampire to take. And like I like the story of their antediluvian. I love that their antediluvian is like not that bad of a guy. Like he the worst I think you could say about him, which I'm curious, what is the actual name of him? I immediately forgot what his antediluvian was, what the antediluvian's called if they named him. That's why he doesn't have a name. They call him Lasombra, but he has a couple like other names. The worst you can say about him is like he was kind of a weirdo. Like he just like kind of liked like hanging out in the darkness. But yeah, they're I think they're similar. That's a good point, Stuart Williamson. They're like the Shadow Lords to the Ventrue Silverfang. I think it's a really good werewolf analogy. Lasombra are better as the power behind the throne, I feel. I think it depends. I think you could have that, but you also can have I think them on the top is just really sick. Lasombio. Yeah, that was a thing with them. Yeah, that's another avenue. Thank you for reminding me, Cherry Popsicle. They also have Boat. So if you want to play Pirate Vampire, that's an avenue to go on. It's sick as hell. Lasombra is just genuinely a really sick clan. I love them a lot. But they're not my favorite clan, because my favorite clan, by far, is fucking Malkavians. I love the Malkavians. Is it purely for lore reasons? I think their lore is interesting. Largely because, but in the way of the presentation of the lore is interesting. Also, you can't get me with that Cherry Popsicle because I agree. I agree that Corvus Corax is worth Conrad Kurz because I love Conrad Kurz. He is my favorite Primarch next to Rogel Dorn. But I think Malkavians are sick as hell. Largely, I'll admit it's personal. Malkavians were my first exposure to Vampire the Masquerade. It was the first thing I learned because I heard the fun fact about Malkavians in Bloodlines. I think like many people. And I thought that is such a sick thing to do for your game. A sick way of having a clan that is trying to be like soothsayer future tellers. And then the game actively spoils itself for you is super sick. Also, that's actually super fair. I agree. Hot take, best clan but worst symbol. I think you could come up with a better symbol. A broken mirror, like, yeah, it's not a great symbol. I agree. But I do think that there is a very fair perspective with the Malkavians that, like, I don't like the idea that Malkavians can just become comic relief. I'm not a fan of that. And that is a direction, historically, it's been in a lot. I will not budge. Rogel Dorn is not worse per Tarabo. Ignore the Iron Cage incident. Rogel Dorn is better. He just probably, I don't know, he wasn't paying attention as good as he could. He was on having an off day, and we shouldn't judge him for that. Every other time is a win in his history. But, like, Malkavians are really interesting. If you Diablo as a Malkavian, would you get their Madness Network or be part of a different clan? Bloodlines 2 makes me say no. Because that happens in Bloodlines 2, and all you kind of have is a quirky Nate from Fallout in your head. But I also am happy to say, at least for Bloodlines 2, having Fabian in your head does not get annoying, because I thought it would be very annoying in the modern game design. The only modern game design talking point I will ever get behind, because I don't care that much about gaming discourse, is characters need to learn when to shut the fuck up and let me, like, play the game. God of War Ragnarok pissed me off a lot, not for anything about it, but purely for you had 10 seconds to solve a puzzle before like Atreus told you the answer, and I thought that was so annoying. But Malkavian has that element of just, I think a lot of people, it's one of their early exposures to Vampire the Masquerade, in a similar way as I probably would expect like orcs from Warhammer are one of your first things, because it's a fun anecdote you can tell people about. And then Malkavians, when they're played really properly, I think are interesting characters. Just, you cannot... But I will say, like, Malkavians are probably the hardest clan to play, because if you want to play them legitimately. They're a really easy clan to portray poorly. And like even the game at some point did, like early Malkavians were very like a little bit iffy, only because like they just didn't know what it was for a bit. At first it was just, oh, they're crazy, then it was like, oh, they're actually Fae, and they're like the children of the Fae, and then that got dropped. And then it was like, yeah, be scared of any mental illness, but like that's kind of was the view of the times back then, so I can't blame it as much. But like a Malkavian as a prince I think can work, but I also think it's very fun to have it be a rarity, because I like the current point that is made with Malkavian princes is that it's a bad idea because they're gonna Tom Bombadil from Lord of the Rings it and like forget about the job. I think it is a very fun vibe for Malkavians. I think their powers are interesting. It's really just, can you as a player play it properly? Let's see. They're actually Fae until the people who write for vampires shoot the one guy who cares about changeling out of the products that sell writing room. I think that's a person that should have worked more at White Wolf, because I love White Wolf stuff. I love the game lines, but White Wolf has such a confusing production history of like making something that like, who's gonna buy this? Shouts out to them for making so much, but like man oh man, do they just have a bunch of weird bullshit that they did. But yeah, I think just Malkavian is like my favorite. It's something that hits me personally with just how I got into vampire in general, and I love it a lot. It's really fun. Let's see. Next up, we have Ministry, or the Followers of Set. I personally want to put them A tier. This is gonna sound insulting, and I don't mean it insultingly. Do not take it insultingly. But if I was to play a Gangrel, I would rather play a Setite, because I think the Setites are a little more interesting. They have the same power to like use animal parts and like animal shapeshifting. I am a huge sucker for anything like Egyptian. Same with my exact same Middle East like love of like, oh shit, Middle Eastern history, or oh shit, Middle Eastern assassins. That's my shit. It's a similar brainworm, and I like Ministry and Setites because like there's that brainworm of growing up as like a child, I wanted to be an Egyptologist, and then I realized it'd be a bad idea because I absolutely cannot stand hot weather. So it was a short-lived dream, but I still love it. I love it a lot. I love the immediate reactions to me placing them in A tier. I think they're cool, and I also will say that like I think their lore update for V5 is also good, because like because largely all the V5 jump did, if you're actually looking at the real effects of it, is change their name. And like they're forming themselves a bit more as a clan because they want to just fit in a little easier with vampire society. I think that's such a like actually fair jump. And I like the name Ministry. I think it's cool. And I like the different ties that it has now, with the fact of a clan ministry's real big thing. The reason they're viewed this way is like each character in the clan, which it's not even also a clan, it's like very faction-like, because anyone can really become one of them, is like their own minister, and has like their own weird fringe version of the religion. I love Tomb Kings and Necrons too. I love mummy shit. I think it's really fun. Like I love Egypt stuff. I like listen, yeah, like Logan McTavish, like over Gangrel specifically, is because of like what I said way earlier, is that there are clans in this game, and I think they need to be in this game, that are very broad concepts, and very broad, like you have to do the heavy lifting to make them interesting. For me, Ministry, Setites, I think they allow you to start the game at a more interesting spot without as much heavy lifting. I think the setup of Ministry for just, hey, what's up, we're evil and corrupting. There's also the other aspect of they have Egyptology. They also have a thing I am fascinated with personally of Gnosticism. They're just Gnostic. Their entire belief system is that the world and like reality is a prison you must escape, that the divine has put you in. And I think that's I think it's an interesting concept. Because Gnosticism historically is really interesting. There's a dope-ass book, The Evil Creator by M. David Lidwa. It is really sick. It's a really good book. There's a lot of really interesting historical parts that go into like the development of it as an idea. And that's really all the Setites are. Well, also, to be fair, that's really, if you just dig any layer deeper into World of Darkness, it's just Gnostic. The entire shit is Gnostic. Like it's constantly just goes back to that. But it's largely because, like, people accidentally reach themselves to Gnosticism when you're writing. Because if you ever are in a position where you're writing, what if I gave Christianity a twist? More likely than not, you're going to land in Gnosticism accidentally. Like, that's also part of it. I don't know. It's the Virgin Wolf transformation versus the Chad Crocodile is the mean way I can put it. But like, I think the Seti also that was just brought up earlier. They were a common enemy in Mummy the Resurrection. That is a part I like a lot, because I think that all the other aspect that's fun for the Setites is there's so much fun tie-in lore with them. Because like they were established in Egypt, in Africa, and there's a lot of really cool lore around Africa. There's a lot of really cool werewolf lore that happens with there because of the Besets. There is a lot of interesting lore with mummies, where it's just everybody on site fucking hates these people, and I think they're right to do that. Because honestly, you shouldn't have a Setite around. They're just not great, but I love them. The entirety of WoD is Gnostic. It literally is just, like, Gnosticism. I see that. Like, that's a funnier explanation, is there's an evil creator because he's a tricksy little gnome. But I like them a lot. I think they're really neat. They just don't make the full leap for me to S tier because they're not in my top 5. But, like, I think they're still really sick, is the thing. Alright, but next up is another one I think people will be probably happy to see, because Nosferatu, I am putting in A tier. I like the Nosferatu a lot. The Nosferatu are really sick. I love their lore. I think that it is the part that's super fun about their lore too, is how their history and their culture is developed around them. Because Absimiliard, the actual antediluvian for the Nosferatu, is such a fucker. He is such an actual piece of shit. And then meanwhile, the Nosferatu are, like, honestly, historically pretty nice. That I like their vibe of having every single WoD like game line has this is the group everyone treats badly because they live in the sewers and they're homeless. But like, I think the Nosferatu have set up for themselves a really fun system. And I also love the ties that's built with Nosferatu. You have a clan that a lot of the rich, snobby, appearance mean everything assholes rely so fucking heavily on the Nosferatu that, like, they are the powerful ones in the room a lot. So it makes interesting vampire politics. You can't just brush off the Nosferatu. They know all of your shit, and that you are buying your enemy's shit from them. But I'd say Nosferatu had a face only their family could love, but even their dead hated them. Like, Absimiliard sucks, and I love how blatantly evil he is. I also, it's like there's a bloodline that's specifically his child heir that he had, where he's like, I fucking hate the Nosferatu, I want them dead, let me make perfect, like, creepy assassin people. It's the one who killed the Baba Yaga. I forget what the actual bloodline is called. If anyone knows it, please shout it out. Like, the part of the Nosferatu I think is super fun. One, like, it's the good part of the sewer level in Bloodlines 1. I think the actual, like, Nosferatu sewer city is cool. And, like, a good Nosferatu is properly unsettling and creepy because they're going to use their powers for, like, as strong as they can. And, like, I like their big focus on secrets. And, like, their powers are fun. I like them using vermin for different things. Nukutu, thank you guys. The name that's hard for me to pronounce. But like, yeah, I think the Nosferatu, it's a character type that I think is very fair if it's not the immediate vampire thing you want to sit and play. But I like them. I like it a lot. Because I think you can play it very earnestly. I think you can play the idea of, like, I am something that I have to deal with this, like, very clearly not monstrous. Again, their bane is not that they're Masquerade breaching. That is purely a gameplay element for Bloodlines 1. But like, I like their perspectives. I like how they act. I like the weird element of kindness. I also like the weird hacker element. Like, I like the idea of Shreknet a lot that the Nosferatu built. I love the idea of an old internet, like, just like ARC chat basically, where it's just a bunch of vampires like sharing info. I think it's really sick. What keeps them at an S tier is, honestly, it's that I have like 2 more or 3 more clans I'd put above them. That's all it is. It's a really slim margin, and it's purely because there are 3 clans that I immediately am attracted to more. Where I'm like, I would want to play this. I think they're cool. Their lore interests me just a little bit. It is like not a failing of the Nosferatu. It is just someone had to be like basically 7th. That's really all it is. Yeah, I'm Giovanni over here. But yeah, like, Venture bought Nosferatu Twitter and renamed it V. That's the only bit I would say is I think Elon Musk would be a really poor Venture because I don't think he's smart enough to do it. But yeah, like, I think Nosferatu is genuinely sick. But when I say like above Nosferatu too, it's like, it is S and A tier are like absolutely the clans I adore. B is like I like, but it is slim margins that like some of these clans are not in, like, not above each other in A and S tier. But I think they're sick as hell. I really like them. And I respect anyone who really likes Nosferatu and as well, because the only time I would say Nosferatu players are evil and terrorists is in the Blood Hunt. Because I don't know if anyone played the Vampire the Masquerade Battle Royale. Nosferatu were fucking annoying in that game. And I say that having played the Nosferatu in that game. A decent amount. Like, they are fuckers. Oh, I'm not falling for the Toreador charm. Just you wait. But there's a draw that I just have, like, very immediate pulls for things. And Nosferatu are on there. I would happily play a Nosferatu character. I just don't have an immediate one in my head that I would leap to play. All right, let's move on to my next. We got Clan Ravnos. And I am putting Clan Ravnos in GOAT tier. I love Clan Ravnos. I think their history is really sick. I like their powers a lot. It's another clan that I think has done a good jump to V5. Also, it's one of the few clans I can put when it actually comes to like supplement material. I am not a fan of there's like a character guidebook in 5th edition that gives you alternate banes for all the clans. I'm not a fan of that, only because I think that, I think personally, the banes that was written for each of the clans is very important to the characters. I think the alternate bane for Ravnos that they did, because the Ravnos bane in V5 is that they have to be mobile, because after the events of 1999, their bloodline is fucked up, and they will actually experience the same sun that destroyed Ravnos, Ravana, Zapsathura, whatever you want to call them. They will feel the same sunlight death that he did if they rest in the same place every night. And then their alternate bloodline, their alternate bane, that was in V5 is that they have the compulsion to do some form of vice. The old version, which I'm not a fan of, and I'll still, like, I will not really budge on, is the idea that played really hard into ethnic stereotypes. And I think it is a little iffy and a little gross to be like, yeah, this entire ethnic group magically supercharged on crime. I don't think it's a great thing. And I like that V5 made it open that it's really some form of compulsive behavior, but it has to be an impulsive, compulsive behavior. Like, there's something impulsive that you do. There's a actual play. I think it was set in, like, Seattle, maybe? That's why I watched it. But it was one of, like, the official ones by, like, LA by Night, those guys. There was a Ravnos, and it was street art, like vandalism. I'm like, yeah, fair enough. That's a good way to do it. And I think it's a fine variant bane, because I understand that the base bane for V5 can be a little too debilitating. Or it's something that basically does nothing in the actual game, because it depends on how much the GM focuses on it. It's a bane that the GM can like wave away, or it's like, yeah, you picked a different spot and you slept there, or you focus on it really hard and it becomes really tedious and annoying. I think that's fair for both of them. Their discipline went from chemistry to obfuscate. I'm not a fan of a lot of the discipline changes for V5. That is the one bit I will actually give. Like, I think V5 gets a lot of shit. I don't think a lot of the shit it gets is super deserved, because I think it's by people who, not to accuse everyone here who doesn't like V5 of not understanding V5, but I think there are a lot of people who have the takes of V5 without knowing exactly how the book handles every single thing. It said it's just like secondhand information, which is, yeah, and then, but also V5 just has changes I don't like. I think the biggest thing V5 actually does is I think the character creation for 5th edition is worse. And I think it makes a big issue with the streamlining of making the vampire you are making feel less personal. So discipline changes kind of do that. Mechanically speaking, the discipline changes are better in V5 because mechanically they allow for more varied characters. And they give you more options to actually have your character do. But emotionally, taking away unique disciplines takes away the feeling of unique clan identity. So that's the part I don't like. Like, I don't like how the transition for disciplines happened. But I can argue that from an emotional standpoint, because I think there's also a big part of game design that is very vibes based. And the discipline change is not good vibes, even though, logically speaking, it is better mechanically, because you have more things to play with, and you can make more varied characters. But, yeah, that is, like, Ravnos, personally, I like a lot. It also is the fact, like, I love the history where it's just, they're storytellers, so their history is very storytellery and also written pretty strongly of, like, there's an overall point these stories are trying to make, not be completely accurate. And this is, like, a character pick I have because this just leans more in the type of characters I play. I play a lot more, like, slimy, charming, like, assholes. Like, if I'm gonna play a rogue, I am not playing the brooding, mysterious rogue in the corner. I am playing the smooth-talking mastermind who is, like, pickpocketing you as he's, or slipping your watch off your wrist as, like, he's talking you. Like, that kind of shit is the rogue I play. I play a lot of characters like that, so it's more fun for me. And the Ravnos are exactly that, and I love their philosophy for the undeath. I love that their vibe is really hard of, like, yeah, man, I'm undead. I'm gonna enjoy what I have. So I think acting impulsively is a very fun thing for them to be. Yeah, I think it is a genuine trait that I'm not always a fan of, that you streamline out what makes something, like, unique and interesting. It's not great. Vampires hate him. Watch how this humble technocrat turned a scary ancient vampire to the contents of a vacuum bag with just one button. Hey, kudos to Zapsathura. It took 3 days. Even they had the sun laser on him. It took 3 days to do it, though. Which is why I describe Zapsathura coming out and, like, just appearing in India is like if Demon Primarch Angron landed in India. The difference is that in World of Darkness we have faction, if you're talking about the technocracy, who could deal with Angron. I think also doesn't help that for Clan Ravnos, 1999, the Week of Nightmares, is just such an actually fun lore point. And I like how you have a big meta plot point, and then you follow through with the consequences of said lore point with the Week of Nightmares and how it actually affected Ravnos. Like, I think it's really cool. Next up, we got the Salubri. And also, by the way, for people, I will be cutting this down into a video, so there's some yap sessions that are only going to be in the VOD. Some will be cut down, so this is a proper video. But we got the Salubri, and I'm going to put the Salubri in C tier. I will be super honest, the Salubri are fine. The Salubri is a clan that a lot of times I just don't care about. Like, sad Lubri. I think the Salubri it's multifaceted why I'm not super into them. But the problem also with Salubri is that Saulot just fucking clears. I love Saulot. I think Saulot is such an interesting character because he's such a piece of shit that tricked everyone to think he's good. And the reason I'm not ranking them lower is because I think there are parts of their clan history that are really cool, and Saulot in general is just such an interesting character. And because of that, it makes me want to put the Salubri a little higher. I have zero interest in playing a Salubri. I like their powers don't fully interest me. The actual dynamic of it doesn't interest me. I think a lot of people are way too fucking mean about the Salubri. I'll say that too. There's a lot of accusations that like the Salubri are like, oh, it's like a main character, like all attention on me type clan. I don't think so. Saul is basically Saul Goodman. I like that interpretation of him. It's not how I pictured him at all. But that is a really funny way to take him. But like Saulot is an interesting character where it does feel like there's a lot of good setup for him being this conniving asshole. The other part that does get me with the Salubri is we'll talk about it near like a little closer to the end because just alphabetically. I like their ties with the Tremere a lot. But I'm saying that as I like the fact that the Tremere fucked them over royally. I think they just have a lot of interesting things going. It's just that none of it really gets me. Just saying, poking a Salubri in their one dumb eye would be really funny. And you know what? I would agree. If you're fighting a Salubri, make sure you fucking Three Stooges it. But like, there's another part of me that's also really strong of like, do I just hate the Salubri because I like the Tremere? And maybe just a little bit. I am not immune to slander, you know. But I have a Salubri ex Banu Hakim toxic Yuri lesbian couple in my home campaign. They love each other, but also have to be ready to murder if the Banu Hakim smells their blood. Yeah, that is the immediate pairing you gotta make. I also say that as someone who, in my campaign where I played as a Malkavian, we had a Banu Hakim and a Salubri. So yeah, there was a concern for that too. It didn't go full toxic relationship with it, but it was a concern we had. I think if you're gonna have a Salubri, you kind of gotta ask that a Banu Hakim is in your party, like just a little bit. But yeah, like Saulot is legit trying to bring about Gehenna. The Salubri deserve to be almost wiped out. Also, yeah, fully endorse. Go to this, you dork. That's the element I like with Saulot is when I've talked about Saulot in a video, Saulot as a character is super tied with how is humanity treated in the game. And Saulot is kind of a manifestation of however each edition talks about humanity. Makes me a little sad that he's not mentioned a lot in V5, if at all. But that's every antediluvian. No more meta plot ass shit. But I think Saulot is really cool, and his development is just interesting in each edition. He's a character that's retconned a fuck ton. Like it is retcons, like not full like setups in like carry through and doing all this. He is legitimately retconned a lot, and that's because he's representational of what humanity is in the game. But I do think Saulot is sick as hell, and he's the part that makes me not put Salubri in D tier, if I'm gonna be super honest. I have zero interest in playing like a healer character, so their unique disciplines doesn't really interest me. And the warrior Salubri also just, there's not enough there that makes me care. Let's get to the next bit, because I feel like people are going to be happy about this too. Zamiski, top of A tier. Now, I will preface with this. This is for also in the video, VOD watchers, whoever. I am making an ultimatum. I call them Zamiski. It's how I heard it. I still get comments on my video for them, correcting my pronunciation. And the part I find personally funny is every couple weeks, I'll get a comment about it, but it's confidently saying a different pronunciation of the clan. I say Zamiski because I am American. So I'm going to pronounce it the way I saw it, the way I heard it. Heard it with other GMs. I heard it talked about. I heard it from, I forget his name, He's the guy that runs the White Wolf, like, LA by Night stuff. He's a good GM. He says Zimiski. There's a great video of asking White Wolf people at a convention how they pronounce it. If I get people correcting my pronunciation or telling me that it needs to be pronounced Zimishi, I'm going to lower Zimiski to a bottom tier. I will invent new tiers if people
Mods,
get too annoying
take
about it.
this dining chair to the dump.
Thank you so much for the super chat, Inquisitor Thomas. I am saying, and I'll reveal this now. Zimiski is my top 6 clan. The only reason they're not an S tier is because they don't top out the number 5 pick for me. That's really it. It's no fault of them. I think their lore is super sick. The true old clan Zimiski is something I want to cover, and I plan to soonish. I think that their history is super sick. I like the fact that how Dracula is treated at all in WoD. I like that. The vibe of Zimiski is so sick. It'll lower. Oh shit! I gotta lower it. But it's purely going to be retroactive. It's retroactive. It's the ultimatum, Zimiski fans. You can either have on a public video that they're high ranked, or you can police how I talk. Which I say that because I personally I have maybe a strange take on pronunciation where I genuinely don't give a shit, and I'm not gonna be brought to give a shit unless it is like a person's name, because I think you should respect that. But also, if you can understand what I'm saying and it's not so butchered you legitimately do not know what I've said, I don't care. I also don't care for other people. Someone mispronounces shit in front of me, I don't care. But like, I think that it is really fair to like the old clan, and I understand why people like it, even though I only have a very surface level info of old clan Zimiski. But like, they're creepy as hell. Their power of flesh warping is sick as hell. There is a reason everyone gets so excited about it, because I agree with you. I think their antediluvian is fucking scary in a sick way. I think the idea of him coming back for Gehenna is sick. The art form's cool. But there is a bit that was, if I made a structured video, essentially the bit I run is I pronounce it different each time. But I like them a lot. Bottom tier is labeled not a clan, don't care. Because those two are not clans. So I will not, no one else is going in those tiers. It is purely organizational. Let's see. Flesh crafting, and then it's always some guy with extra spikes.
By the eldest, he's going to put Tremere in the top 5. Turn this man's blood in mayonnaise, and his bones into mozzarella.
Maybe I will. I'll defend myself. But I love them a lot. Largely because I think the only bit that doesn't make them in my top 5 is I'm not leaping at the bit to play one. And that's kind of it. I love them a lot. It's very narrow that number 6 in my head is not in the top 5. It's a super slim margin. Like, it would be, if I was ranking this on a big 1 to 10, they'd be like, they'd have a decimal point away from my next pick. And it's purely because Zimiski, for me, is a clan I love experiencing more than I'm, like, leaping to play it. Because you can make such a properly terrifying character and make such a properly terrifying NPC with it. They're so sick, and it's cool to have a clan that is meant to be creepy and intimidating actually land like that. With their old Eastern European, like, hospitality of, like, they must treat you nice, but also, like, they will turn your femur inside out. I mean, fair enough. How can I defend myself when I have no mouth and I must scream? That's really it. Like, the bit that doesn't carry them over is, like, my criteria, very subjective criteria. One of those points is how immediately willing am I to, like, wanting to play them. That's the only part they slightly lose out. I'm a very selective guy when I actually create characters. Like, it takes a while for me to do, and I usually hard focus one thing. So making characters, I kind of have to be hit with inspiration in the moment. And I haven't immediately been hit with that by Samiski, but a part of that is because, like I said with Ravnos, it's not my immediate jump for types of characters. My weak spot 100% is intimidating characters. Hopefully you've gotten that vibe from my videos. I don't think I'm an intimidating guy at all, which I'm fine with. I've yet to come across a situation where I've wanted to be intimidating. It's not something I care about. And that's largely it too. I love them so much, but like, am I saying this just to appease the people in chat that love this clan? Maybe. I wouldn't do it justice. I would not play him as terrifying as he could be. And so it is out of pure respect that I cannot put them in my top tier. But yeah, I think they're super sick. Because of that, like, I immediately agree with you, Balrog. Like, I like it when Zamiskir played more alien. They are trying to imitate humanity, I think is such a good way to take them. And it's the thing of, I keep referencing it. It's fucking, there's the LA by Night and New York by Night. One of them has a Zamiski in it. And I think the guy who plays him does so fucking well with it. He's genuinely creepy with it. There's a specific head tilt smile that guy does that hits perfect Zamiski. There is something wrong about this person, and if you're going to play this clan, you need to hit the Uncanny Valley. I think it's just what they're built for. Yeah, Alexander Ward. Yeah, I agree. I love him. He's very cool. He's a good actor. I want to see him in more stuff. I don't watch live plays or anything, but I saw that he's been doing stuff with Critical Role, and I'm just glad to see him in more stuff because he's cool. It is New York by Night. Thank you. I get LA and New York mixed up. If I flesh crafted a working stomach and second mouth from some spare parts, you think I could enjoy them McDonald's fries? I would hope so. I wouldn't allow you to have it work if I was your GM, but I would be happy to hear if another GM let it work for you. But yeah, that's the element. I agree a lot with you, Asterius. The terror doesn't have to be over the top, which I think trips people up. Terror is quiet. It lets you make up what's going to happen in your head. That's the scary part for this clan, is that you want to hit that idea of like, you are unsafe, but you cannot like find the source of why you are scared in the moment. That's what makes them really sick. But I love them a lot. I think they're super neat. Next up, let's immediately follow this up. I don't let you in my attic because that's where I keep my art and it's personal. Toreador, D tier. Not to spoil anything at all. I fucking hate the Toreador. Not really. That's more extreme than I actually feel. I think probably the best way I put it was in my talk on the Toreador for their own video, which I had been prepping for, because I don't want to make a video where I just shit on someone's like favorite thing. I'm not going to do it. I think it's kind of dog to make a video for lore that's gonna help people get into the game and teach people about it, and then just openly shit on something. I think is not good form. There's like one or two lore creators I think of, not for Vampire, but for other stuff that I can point at that do that, and I'm not a fan of it. But Toreador are interesting in the way of they go in a complete opposite direction of the art, the style I like for them. I agree, it is Clan Boreador. Toreador is a clan that I'll you know what, I'll shout out. Like literally right before the stream, I was talking with some friends, and one of them brought up, obviously, I was talking about this tier list, brought up the fact of they're a big fan of Toreador. But the reason is because there's a part of Toreador that I feel like it's dropped a lot. Which Toreador are hit as like they're the hot seductor like characters. And the part that should make Toreador hit good is the fact that like it should feel really creepy, and it shouldn't, like, they have a weird level of like they like things and are fascinated by things. They are fascinated by what they view as attractive and like beautiful, but they're not human, so that beauty they find is in really warped things. And that I agree with. I don't like the thing, Bloodlines 2 did this, and I'm not a full fan of it, Bloodlines 2 kind of turned it into like a weird, it pulled it a little bit more in the BDSM route, which I'm not into, because like that's not warped. It's not warped if it's overly a consensual thing with people. Like, that's not warped. A true Toreador, I think, needs to be something that like just feels wrong, similar to the Zamiski. Actually, I think it should feel really alien. That should be given the ability of vampire eternal life, and all you want to do is finger paint. And because of your curse, your ability to finger paint gets worse over time. That is the other part I like. I love their fascination with art, but the fact that they cannot participate in it is really cool. Imagine being stunned by a banana, like the modern art, like taped. I'm not a modern art like hater. I think a lot of people are weird about it, but that is really funny to me. The idea of just being stun locked by that. Toreador obsessed over the art of tabletop games and arguing over mechanics is inspired. That is character concepts so based. I want to raise them up a tier. But like, yeah, like Toreador should feel really creepy and like, because there's that element of like obsession that they have. So my issue with Toreador is I think there's a lot of interesting setup that I don't feel like is accentuated or followed through. Because like you can have all these elements for Toreador which hit in the when you're reading it, but then you see every single representation of a Toreador we've had, and it's kind of just the first thought you come up with of hot socialite, like seductor vampire. Yeah, because it's not a thing about beauty. It is possessiveness, but like that vibe doesn't come across super strong in like actual representations we've seen of Toreador. So I feel like Toreador is like the worst case of missed potential, just with like what you can do with the vampire as a creature and as a thing that is always like metaphorical. I'm not going to rehash my entire point I made in my Toreador video. You can just rewatch the first like 5 minutes. But like that, the element for Toreador that also make him like literally my least favorite clan in the game is not active hate. I don't actually hate them. It is probably the clan that plays the most hardest in things I do not want to play. That's the big issue for them. Yeah, the Toreador getting stuck outside staring at that one Christmas tree butt plug sculpture before getting cooked in the sun. Yeah, like, I think the horror of Toreador is like you said, the attempt at performance of the humanities. In these sessions developed around things you can never truly represent. Like, that part that people are pointing out in the chat is the stuff I fully agree with. The part that makes Toreador compelling when they come up is, I think it's super sick when it is that, like, this isn't human anymore, so there is something warped about it. I just don't think it lands super hard when that's the case. It's honestly one of the other clans I can point at and be like, I think their Antitribu is way more interesting. It's just also from what I've read of the Toreador Antitribu, it goes more into the Dark Eldar route of like, we like the twisted things of art. It's about pain and torture and bad BDSM. Which is just boring. Like, it's boring because there's a better take that everyone here in chat is talking about. Yeah, they're super flanderized. I think that's probably the biggest thing. My cat is slightly interrupting me, but it's probably the biggest thing that hits them is just they have a stereotype, and it's really easy to only play the stereotype. Yeah, just a hot vampire. Like, it's a lot of times in representationally, that's kind of all we see. When I wish there's more. But the overall why I don't like them is just they are the bottom of the list of what I want to play. I got my boundaries at the table. One of them really big is I have zero interest in playing a seductor character, playing a character who's like flirty or anything, because I cannot separate myself and my friends that much. I can get really immersed. But like, if I play a character that's trying to flirt with someone or seduce somebody, I am flirting with my friend, a man who's been my friend for like almost 10 years. And I don't want to flirt with him. And I don't want to handle that. I don't want to flirt with my friends. I don't view them in any that way. So I don't play that. And that's really it. It's just purely there's a specific vibe that they hit, and I just don't want to engage with it at table. I don't care if other people are doing it, just don't involve me. I want to be human. Wow, let me draw. Boo-hoo, bozo. You have the power of being a powerful vampire. You could draw a dick on Lady Liberty's neck, a real work of art, but instead you're crying. Maybe that's the real thing. Maybe we need to pull yourself up by your bootstrap ass post to the Toreador. I also think it's funny too, because I played my first Bloodlines character was actually a Toreador, largely because like when I play RPGs I go very charisma, and I like playing the talky character, and that it was super fun until I got to the end of the game, because turns out the end of Bloodlines 1 is just combat arenas 3 in a row, and so the Toreador is just not as fun there. But yeah, that's the reason I put them so low. But now, the sin for some people here. Tremere is S tier. I am not going to hide it. I'm not going to walk away from it or be ashamed about it. The Tremere are frauds. The Tremere are fucking stupid. They are fake vampire wizards, and they're posers, and I love them for it. I absolutely adore how much you can like slander the Tremere. So much, because I think if you're a true Tremere fan, you kind of have to agree with it. It's the Hermetics if they were honest. Yes, exactly that too. I love the Tremere, because on one hand, I can hold the Tremere up and be like, I love their history. I love the tie-in with Mage the Ascension. I love Mage. I love the vibe of vampire blood wizards. I think it's really sick. And like, I genuinely think they're cool. And then on the other hand, I can look at the Tremere and be like, what fucking frauds. Like, the fraud allegations for Tremere are just accurate. It's just telling their history. And also, like, yeah, the Great and Mighty Kevin is such a genuinely funny Tremere concept. Largely because the joke of Kevin is that he just ignored blood sorcery and put all of his points into dominate, which is so funny. Like, that is a legitimately funny character concept. And yeah, it is like, it is so funny having like the actual history of them being like, well, how can we live forever? Let's become vampires. And also the fact that it wasn't fully like planned. It's just the guy, the Tremere guy, who did the plan is like, has openly the most untrustworthy name. I gotta find what his name is, because he's so funny. The actual guy being Tremere. Goratrix. He told Goratrix, hey, what's up, dude? Go make the spell of life. Go like make it so we can become immortal. And then Goratrix convinced him, like, hey, what's up? What if we became vampires? And surprise, surprise, it didn't work. Blood magic really a clan skill, or much like their whole clan, it isn't special. You just need the books that teach you how to do it. Like, it is expressly something that you can learn and isn't unique to them, because the bit never tell the Tremere that the Banu Hakim also did blood sorcery before they did, which is also why I like them. I like how much of fucking frauds they are, and they just yeah, it's similar to Goj Vandire. It's a character you look at and you're like, yeah, I'm not surprised that guy's a villain. I love Goratrix. Like, yeah, I also do think, like, the pyramid as a concept for the Tremere is cool. I am split on whether or not I like the fact that the pyramid is gone in V5. If anything, I think it creates a really interesting, like, story point that the pyramid has been in place for so long, and now it's gone. And now that it's gone now, and you gotta adjust for your entire hierarchy being destroyed. Because it's such a, like, well thought out, how do we hold the power we do and keep all these people under us in this control? Make a pyramid scheme. It's a very wizard answer, and I like that. Yeah, they're such frauds. They people think they invented it, and that's what's great. Yeah, like that is a really true point, Balrog. Like, we're told a lot about how other clans are possessive and manipulative and awful, but when you read the lore for Tremere, it exemplifies it. The clear thing that shows it the best is the fact that they directly usurped the Salubri. The bro diablerized Saulot, and then based on what timeline is whether or not Saulot let him do it. And then immediately turned around and just said, "Nuh-uh, you did," to like the Salubri when they're like, "Hey, he just diablerized our antediluvian," and they just went, "Nuh-uh," and the other clans were like, "Ah, shit, I guess." Like, that is a perfect evil move of just, let's turn around and have everyone kill you. Nosferatu docks the Tremere. That is what happened, yeah. Like, yeah, when the Chantry fell. Yeah, that's unironically, that is exactly what happened. And gargoyles. Gargoyles are something that I hear a lot about, and I will be very, very honest. I haven't looked that much into gargoyles. I know that they've been horribly fucked over, but it's another video subject I'll cover. Like, I'll probably cover it in the nearish future. I have a couple ideas that I want to do first, but people bringing up gargoyles in my comments has been useful because it makes me remember and makes me realize I want to look more into them. Yeah, they came from the Order of Hermes, the absolute frauds that the Order of Hermes are, I say, as I love the Hermetics. Which I also will say only because Hermeticism is something that if I actually awaken to magic, is the methodology that would connect more with me. I mean, it's just culturally what I'm more used to. But, like, I think the Tremere are really neat. I think they're really fun because you can love them in so many different ways. Legitimately, or the frauds that they are. Because I posit, it's my own opinion, that I think if you love the Tremere, you should also be the most aware that, like, how absolute losers they are. And when you hear Tremere slander and other lore things, you should be like, that's why they're the GOAT, though. I love them so much. But I won't even give you enough time to get money for the bet. $5 Ventrue being D tier because you're correct. You're very correct. Ventrue, to me, D tier. I just don't care about Ventrue at all because, again, I'm sorry, Lasombra is just Ventrue but good. Ventrue is see, they're so strong they don't need a Chantry. If you really think about it and cope in the way that Tremere probably would in the moment. I think Ventrue are just another clan that's really strong in the we are the manipulators. We're such a very broad archetype of vampire. My other issue is that I think Ventrue, with the lore setup, that their history is interesting because their history is so crafted to give them the perfect narrative for stuff. But, like, they're just worse Lasombra for me. Because I like how, like, more interesting the Lasombra openly are when the Ventrue have this perfectly tailored, like, concept. Because the point that they're trying to hit for their vampire archetype is they are the rich, charismatic, social climbers of vampires. And you have that, very cool, very fun. And then, like, I don't know, man. It's just such a broad concept. I like the parts of Ventrue that are the really clear propaganda that they wrote into their history. I also like the Ventrue stuff of they have they're really in-depth embracing protocols and then training once you're a Ventrue. I think it's really fun. But they are, like, yeah, they're the Nepo babies of WoD, and, like, honestly, the other part that bores me most than anything with the Ventrue is that the Ventrue are just default in everything. And, like, when you get a game or some story or whatever, you're always gonna be like, and who's the prince? It's a Ventrue. I get it. They're the Clan of Kings. They are the natural leaders. But, like, I find it boring. Deny, Defend, Oppose includes the Ventrue. True as hell. Maybe there's another aspect of it. Maybe, now that you say that, makes me also hate the Ventrue because it's exactly the archetype of dude I hate. Like, if I had to make a list, if I made a tier list or just a ranking top 10 of the people I actually hate the most that is on Earth, yeah, it's usually this specific type of rich asshole. Like, there is a type of that person that I just can't stand. And that's really all the Ventrue are. So like I don't immediately want to play one because like if I'm going to do it, I want to play it whole hog and have cool ass shadow magic. Yeah, like Ventrue is so boring, but unfortunately they're in the perfect position to push the plot forward. Like yeah, the Ultramarines of WoD is really good slander. I agree with you. Ventrues need fortitude because everyone wants to punch them in the face. You know what? D actually is a clan that I would agree. I think it just has potential. Or missed what am I thinking of? Squandered potential is really what I would categorize D as. Yeah, they're just overplayed. And I don't base a lot of my opinions off of like other people. That's a lot of this isn't like, oh, I had bad experiences with Toreador or Ventrue in my tabletop game. It's largely just the fact that when you're making some game, some adaptation, something, you gotta have the stereotypes because there are people out there who love Ventrue because they love playing that specific type of Ventrue. And I like that's super fair. I think it's a vibe you can enjoy. And I won't yuck anyone's yum if you're watching this and like that is the reason you like the Ventrue. I think that's fair. I disagree with you, but healthily speaking, we can both disagree on this. It's just like there is more spice you could put that is in here. Maybe use some. Maybe we don't need... Maybe you can add another thing instead of just pure salt and pepper. Add a little bit of onion powder. I don't know. Add some saffron. Go a little crazy. Every vampire is real tough until the Ventrue uses dominate shit yourself now. But also I agree. Demontation is cooler and stronger. But yeah. This is my tier list. This is overall how I feel about all the clans. And I personally... I don't know, just for funsies, I'll move this aside slightly. Or I'll move it over here. There we go. Now this could be screenshotable. But that is the overall clan tier list. I mean, I'll say, the actual like points I heard bringing things up, it didn't sound like I was anything too crazy, other than the fact that Zamiski should be higher. That's, I think, the overall chat opinion here that I've seen. And yeah, that is it. I basically go on for 30 more minutes yapping and hanging out. So again, if you want to watch the whole thing, all the tangents included, you just watch the VOD. But anyways, I do want to end first. Want to thank all my channel members. Thank you all so much. And also thank you to my top tier channel members. That being Eric Sheriff, Megas Cadron, Pork Chomp, SSJ Werewolf, and Czar Shadow. Thank you all so much. It means a ton. And yeah, I got another big fun thing. If you need another bit to listen to while you game or work or whatever, a compilation video is going to come out. And yeah, I have some bigger projects in the work. One of which is like a bigger overview video, which I hope to be doing in like a month or so. So stay tuned, subscribe, memberships, comments, likes, do the YouTube things. See ya.